Roy Fire Emblem in Smash Ultimate. What a champ. The Rorschach test of characters. If you want to talk about a character that's ridden the highs and lows of Smash Ultimate, this is your guy. Oh, so you're going to talk about how he fell off as the Fighters Pass 2 meta became more prevalent across the last year? That's what I hear you say, but shh, I'll get there. Today we're going to crack open the can of worms that is Roy in Smash Ultimate. We're going to hear from the court of public opinion to get our starting ground. We're going to look through his history in the meta, his highest moment, his lowest moment, where he's going, and what he represents. Let's get into it. So people's opinion of Roy, much like his results, have gone up and down. Let's see what people think. Smazio said, broken co-main character, bad solo main character. He has stupid highs, but also his lows can be really bad. Considering he's relatively easy too, I think it's only too good of an idea, especially since I've seen Cola and Alice go for that route in the past. Didi said, Roy is one of the most balanced top tiers in the game. He can be oppressive as any top tier can be, but his lack of projectile and relying entirely on rushdown and timing mix-ups to kill people. Generally, I think he's balanced compared to most characters. Pink said, really good character, very oppressive against most characters, but some losing matchups are terrible, and for Oz in particular, most of them are relevant, so definitely needs a secondary. Kring said, he is fun, top tier, relatively good matchup chart. Slightly overrated because lots of his bad matchups are very meta-relevant, most notably Fighters Pass 2. I think while he is good, he will fall off a bit long term, even if he is making a resurgence right now. The general consensus is Roy's a fairly strong character, but the evolution of the meta over the past year has made him difficult to pilot at the top/high level, thanks to his range requiring him to interact at a time when interacting is rather dangerous to do. With this in mind, let's take a look back at the history of Roy in the game. It's not a RavSav video if I don't provide some context or background. So for the uninitiated, Roy originally debuted in 2001 with Super Smash Bros. Melee for the Nintendo GameCube, coming from the Fire Emblem franchise, a strategy role-playing game dating back to 1990. Funnily enough, this was before his own game, Fire Emblem The Binding Blade, which released on the GBA in 2002. Guess it's kind of funny how my two favorite characters to play in Smash had a similar release time in relation to their games. He was a clone of Marth, which instead of the tip of the sword having strong hitboxes, it was moved to the hilt to match the way Roy wields his sword, the Binding Blade. On release, and still currently, unless you're Zane, he's one of the worst characters in the game. In the next title, Super Smash Bros. Brawl, Roy was axed. Cut saw a Fire Emblem rep who had games on the same console, Ike, could be used. It seemed as though the same fate would happen in Super Smash Bros. For 3DS and Wii U. But on June 14th, 2015, a miracle happened. He returned, but still underwhelming as ever as he hovered around mid and low tier, as again the sweet spot of his hitboxes being difficult to hit meant he struggled. But eventually, Roy got his redemption. Like every other previous fighter, Roy returned in Smash Ultimate, but this time his fresh coat of paint gave him life. It gave him power. Many of the universal changes in Smash Ultimate benefited him far more so he could operate in an engine which suited him better. While I could list all these changes, we'll give the highlights. Jab became the absolute do-anything combo tool most characters crave. Hit stun on a lot of his sword moves made comboing far easier. Side B being a bit of a war crime, and the speed and combo potential of his aerials turned him into a rushdown monster. What's funny though is for the first few months competitively, the community's perception was that Roy's new Echo Fighter, Chrom, was the superior sword, thanks to his consistency while carrying over many of Roy's combos. This didn't last once people worked out, oh yeah, up B. Moving into his competitive successes, Roy's early success often came courtesy of Tweak, before he became a master of Diddy and Sephiroth. Tweak's results with Roy were pretty good, with peaks of first at Gommel 2019 and Glitch 8, and second at Momocon 2019, with the wielder of the Binding Blade seeing some use. Post-quarantine was really where Roy hit his golden age, as huge Wi-Fi grinding from the likes of Cola and Goblin in NA, Alice and TK3 in Japan, and Flo in Europe showed that 2021 was going to be the year of Roy. TK3 immediately made a mark with a 5th place finish at the first post-quarantine major, Kagaribi 3. Flo nabbed 5th at Europe's first post-quarantine major, Ultimate Wanted 3. Results continue to pile up. Cola 7th at Ultimate Summit 3, Goblin 5th at Riptide 2021, Cola with 3rd at Glitch 8.5, Goblin 7th at Low Tide City, Cola 5th at Super Smash Con Fall Fest, Hikaru 5th at Mayasuma top number 6, Flow 7th at Vienna Challengers Arena. It was good, but the year was going to end with a bang. Cola had one final trick. CEO 2021 was the peak for Roy, with a pinch of cloud, as Cola claimed his first major win over the likes of Gluttony and Mudace in one of the most explosive grand finals witnessed. Roy had his place in the meta. His spot as an explosive rushdown character was gonna hold going into 2022. It even opened with Cola having one of the most impressive losers runs to date to place second at Let's Make Big Moves 2022 between Cola, Goblin, Mugen, Flo, Hikaru, Alice, and many more. Roy had consolidated himself as a powerhouse in the top 10, but the meta shifted. Something awoke. Fighters Pass 2 was optimized. And who was its first victim? Roy. It began slowly as Cola began dropping sets to characters like Kazuya and Steve. It was okay though. We're still in it. Roy can still do it. Oh no, is that Cola going cloud? That's Cola going cloud. Oh no, look at him. We're suffering. Roy's starting to lose steam again. There were spots of hope, a top 8 here and there, but the new meta settled in and required a set of skills Roy hasn't always been able to match. Post-Invitational is what we like to call the Dark Era. After Super Smash Con 2023, the people began to lose hope, but if there's one person who won't give up on Roy, it's Cola. When he'd been gone for so long, he returned. Oh, we're so back. We are so back. Roy is back. Cola returned to the sticks for his first event since MomoCon 2023 and delivered one of the greatest runs right off the bat, with wins over Dominator, Cycelex, Zomba, and WebJP to place 5th. Even as recently as last weekend, placing 9th at P tier, Port Priority 8, with wins over Alice, Beast Mode Paul, and Dabuz. Roy may not be at the peaks he was when the meta was kinder to him, but he could still find his way through. So now we know where he came from. A question must be pondered. Can Roy do it? Could Roy win a major or a super major, or even a premier? The biased Roy fan in me says yes, he can. But if you look at what the meta is doing, it's such a steep mountain to climb. So many characters and players stand in his path, but I think it's doable. I hold out hope thanks to another character who dealt with similar turmoil. Wario. Gluttony showed how even when your character is required to interact with the lethal risk-reward current Smash Ultimate throws your way, you can conquer it. No matter what bad matchup comes your way, it's the ability to be creative with how you play your matchups and maximizing what bracket luck comes your way to get your hands on a trophy. Do I think a solo Roy victory is possible? Given how most top/high level Roy mains at this point wield a secondary of some kind, I don't think so. Also, given how popular Fighters Pass 2 is, I think it's quite a struggle for Roy to conquer a full bracket of demons, but I think that 2024 can be the redemption of Roy. With a fire lit by Cola, there's a path forward. The people love Roy. The other top/high level players need to keep working with Roy. He's not the top tier he once was, but he is still a top tier with some very devoted players. I don't care how many events it takes next year, he will win one. Whether it's Cola, Goblin, Alice, Flo, Hikaru, or even someone fresh. There's light there to guide the way to victory. Every event there's a Roy, I will be cheering, and I believe he can do it. Is the meta more dangerous to deal with? Yes, certainly. But this is a character with great tools, a potent combo game, dangerous speed, and kill power like you wouldn't believe. There is a way for him. He needs a secondary, so be it. A guiding hand may be all that's required for the Binding Blade to cut through. I'm gonna keep cheering for Roy in the meantime because, yeah, this game can throw some lame stuff around, but at the same time, some cool stuff can swing back just as hard. That's it from me today. I've been Ravsav. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.